IVM.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 52 of the Fighting G.O.A.T. My name is Arjun Chipalkatti, aka Mystic Chips, along with my partner Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra. We've got a ton of awesome stuff, tons of news, lots of exciting content in this episode. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the Habit Coach, Relationship and Dating Coach, Yaduvir Singh joins Ashton. He explains how the subconscious mind affects our relationships. On Big Talk About Tiny Humans, Devi Shobha and Meghna talk to Dr. Swati Popat-Vats about container baby syndrome. On Press Decode, Sarah Vagda and Prafulla discuss scammy health foods and doping at the Olympics. What's wrong with Joe Rogan? On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth dives deep into his latest controversies. And on Tere Mere Raaste, Keshav tells us how a visit to the Taj Mahal can overpower you with love. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. The word of mouth really helps. Also, don't forget to rate us on whatever platform you're listening to us and check us out on YouTube. You can check a list of all our channels at ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Bank of Baroda and HDFC Life Insurance. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back to episode 52 of the Fighting G.O.A.T. You've been listening to Arjun Chipalkatti, aka Mystic Chips, and Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra. And we have reached episode 52. We crossed the half-century mark, and it's a slow innings, but tuku kar hum pahunch jayenge.
But in fact, Chips, it's quite funny. I just remember that we recorded with Bill, and it doesn't feel like 2 weeks back.
It doesn't, man. The time is. Have you realized this year is only flying back? It's already March.
Absolutely.
It's like I just celebrated New Year's.
2 years of Corona, and now we are just off, and it's been so good for us. We are back in the studio. We're back in the IVM studio, which is a huge plus point. Plus, we are back in the Sony studio.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so good to be back in the IBM studios, especially with our wonderful producer, Cerrone Jane, who is always berating us and, she's taking our case and stuff and, telling us, kitna khaya tune, kitna ye piya, you're looking this and you're looking that. And I'm like, it's not right. It's 2022. Shaming is no longer accepted.
I know.
But it's cool. But you know what? There is, no more Cerrone bashing today. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. There's so much that's happened in the world. MMA is not just, about the UFC. There's Bellator, there's BKFC, there's Pillow Fighting Championship. Now, okay, Pillow Fighting Championship it's true. PFC exists, which I'm not even kidding. It exists.
Mystic Chips, we don't want to know any bedroom talk. That's for another podcast on IVMpodcast.com.
KFC. That's Kambal Fighting Championship. No, but coming back to what I was talking about, let's open up with there's a fighter called Andrey Kordiskov. Okay. This guy had a fight recently, and in the opening round lands a spinning back kick. Where he lands it was weird the way he landed that spinning
Bellator.
Back. Yes, in Bellator. In the last Bellator event last week, he lands a spinning back kick, which it was so awkward. It hit perfectly. The guy, of course, reacted like it was a body shot to the liver. Yeah. It actually, in turn, that kick was so damaging, it broke 5 of his ribs, punctured his lung, filled it half with blood. And the man is suspended for 1 year. Has suspended for 1 year because of one kick.
Wow. Again,
one spinning back kick.
We've spoken about this where we say maybe it's not that one kick. Maybe it's a constant shots and the major shot just lands there.
No, Sumesh. That's the funny thing. I also thought that, and I rewatched the fight. It happened in the first minute. There were no shots to the body.
Oh, really?
One spinning back kick.
Oh my God.
One spinning back kick did the damage on this. He did the damage, and it was so vicious. You got to go back and see it. Like, I'm sure, we're going to see the highlights of it. I'm going to put up some pictures on the show for everybody to see. And then on social media, he put up the picture of the X-ray where clearly shows the upper 5 ribs cracked. Like, it looked like it reminded me of when I was in the US and I was at a steakhouse. You see all those ribs broken? Yeah. My God, man. It was
this
devastating.
Can be brutal. This sport can be so brutal. He's just You just need to take care of yourself. And, it just shows the importance of conditioning, just shows the importance what, a fighter really gives once he enters that cage or that ring. It's just something else altogether.
It's no joke.
I in fact saw
That's what it
that.
is.
I saw that, and it was oof. And when you see it in that slow-mo, now each of these promotions have a slow-mo, and the kick lands and it literally digs into his rib cage. And I was like,
the heel was right inside.
That in fact gets me to the next one. The last event that we had, Jamaya Hill and Johnny Walker, when he knocked him out. Did you see Johnny Walker's face on that canvas?
Dude, you know what it reminded me of?
Oh my God.
When Lyoto Machida was on his way to winning the belt, he took on Rashad Evans and he knocks him out against the cage. And Rashad fell the same way, with his neck out, neck coming up, and the rest of his body limp. And that's the same thing that happened to Johnny Walker. And he got caught on the left side of his head, and he was cut open, and then he got knocked out cold. That was also a brutal. That's the scary part of it's still a fighting sport. You can still get so badly damaged, and if a kick can break 5 ribs and puncture a lung, and you don't know what happens. So whoever's thinking of joining, think twice. I guarantee.
Yeah, it's a tough sport out there. It's a great sport, but it's a tough sport.
It's a damn tough sport. Then coming back to, let's, switch to, bare knuckle fighting championships. When they launched, it was like a lot of people thought that, who knows if this is going to go on? Who knows if, this is legit? But it turns out that with, and by the way, by bare knuckle, I mean, they're wearing hand wraps. So and believe me, hand wraps still is just to protect your hand from breaking at the end of the day.
Yes.
The impact is still pretty much bare knuckle only. There's no padding on it. There's like maybe 1 mm of padding on it. So there was a fight recently with Mike Perry, our very own Mike Perry, who left the UFC, joined BKFC and took on a former Ultimate Fighter contestant called Julian Lane. Somesh, if you don't remember, is the guy who was like, who used to say, let me bang, bro, in the TUF house.
Oh, the psycho.
He's like, let me bang, bro.
Oh my God.
So that's the guy. That's the guy who's on the...
You know what? There were t-shirts made, let me bang, bro.
Yeah, I know. Dude, whatever helped him, he's got to fame because of that line. It's still played sometimes on the replays.
It is.
So Mike Perry, in his debut at BKFC, wins with a knockout. He gets a big knockout win over Julian Lane. And on the same hand, we saw the return of Chad Mendes.
Yes.
He left the UFC's featherweight division and has gone to BKFC and comes away with a big win of his own.
Wow. And in fact, that fight was very to and fro, where it was, it was swinging towards Julian, then it was swinging towards Perry, and suddenly, boom, there we go. But, BKFC, I really thought does not have a future. But clearly, I was wrong.
Look at the amount of guys going there, man. And if guys like Chad Mendes, who's a big name, he's a big name. And Chad is not very old. He's 35, 36 or something right now. Right. And if he's going over to BKFC, and then after his fight, he says, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life.
And knocking out people.
And dude, he looked so good. He looked good. He looked in shape. He was shredded. He was solid. And he looked better than he's been looking in years.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. In fact, when you move from MMA to boxing, there are a lot of aspects that just kind of free your mind. You just need to work on certain tools and not all of them. So I think an MMA fighter just finds more comfort moving into boxing, somewhat like an Anderson Silva who did it perfectly. The BKFC also has Bigfoot Silva that is there. There's Gabriel Gonzaga that is there. Now there's Chad Mendes. There's Mike Perry. There's Paige Van Zandt that's at BKFC.
Paige Van Zandt, man.
And she's been winning. So, it's great stuff. Great stuff. I think they're just finding some kind of solace. And also, the monies are much better.
Maybe. The money could be better. It could be the bonuses could be bigger. You never know.
Right.
You don't know the intricacies of that until we decide to have a one-on-one with the president of BKFC, which might come in the future. You never know. But moving back to some of the biggest news of the week that was launched was the replacement for IslamMakhachev. Sadly, Benil Dariush pulled out. And now it's a guy who fought 10 days ago, Bobby Green, is going to be taking over to take on IslamMakhachev. Now, I got to say one thing. Like, I know all fighters are tough, but a lot of these guys don't want to fight somebody like IslamMakhachev, because he's he's on his way. He's got a trajectory. He's knocking. He's one fight away from one of the big fights. Like if IslamMakhachev wins, you are easily seeing him being the number one contender.
Well, that's what Khabib is saying. But Chips, see, the thing is that
maybe to fight Poirier, maybe to fight Chandler, to fight Gaethje, to fight anybody. He's right there.
Right. But Bobby Green, I feel, is just going to cement his place as a company's man. The fact that he took this fight is going to prove that, yes, he's a company's man. He's there. And honestly, he has a built-in excuse that I took it on 10 days notice and I lost.
Yeah.
So, it's a win-win situation.
But let's play the segment that I love to call the what if segment.
The what if segment is going to come in the third segment of this podcast. But what
if for the card is different, but what if he does it?
Well, if that happens, which I think is a very, very slim chance, I think this man has done something out of the world, something which I've been waiting for honestly for quite some time. But, if Bobby Green pulls off your what if,
yeah, man, the what if moment.
He's changed his own life.
His life will change. Everything will change. And I think it might be an upset or not an upset. You never know. Bobby Green is pretty tough, dude. He's shown in his last fight, he was a stud.
His boxing is through the roof. I mean,
stellar.
But his boxing has become super crisp.
It's super crisp. His shots are clean. The way he pumps his jab, and you can see somebody's been working when they start pumping the multiple jabs. 1, 2, 3, 4. We saw it with Juliana Pena against Amanda Nunes. She landed 4 jabs in a row. Boom, 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 circling. So it's got a great matchup written all over it.
Right.
Another famous fighter who's back in the news over and over again, who still, I feel, is purposely being made to wait in the wings, is Kamsa Chimaev. Because why the hell are they not announcing the Burns fight yet? I don't understand.
Well, I think there's some aspect about the location which is going on, because that was supposed to be on UFC 274, which is in May in Brazil.
Correct.
I think they're moving it back to the US.
It was actually supposed to be UFC 273. It was supposed to be 73. Now it's been speculated for 2074, I think.
Okay. So basically 274 is that big card where Glover is facing Hiri Prohaska. There's a Charles Oliveira who's facing Justin Gaethje. And they want Kamsa Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. I mean, it's an absolutely stacked last 3 fights for the Brazilians. But I think there's something happening about the location. They are not confirming Brazil. I think they're moving it back to the United States. However, having said that, I think they should announce the fight, because honestly, location doesn't matter unless and until you're Khabib, who keeps asking, send me location. But apart from that, I don't think it should be an issue. I think this is going to be the third banging fight on that card.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, before we get into talking about what happened, the main event of what happened last week was a great fight between Amir Khan and Kell Brook that took place in Manchester. Before we sit down to discuss that, we want to just rehash an old subject. A new video surfaced on the internet again, of a clearer video. In fact, a very clear police body cam footage of Jon Jones' arrest in September after his alleged assault against his wife in a hotel in Vegas, and him being on the strip and the way he's talking. He's saying things like, you got to watch that video. He's saying things like, well, a black man can't drink, or what have I done wrong? And then he slams his head on the cop car. Oh my God. You need to see that video. It's just...
sometimes people just get out of hand. I'm so happy he has finally given up alcohol for good. He's been sober ever since.
Has he really?
Well, he's not been in the news, so I'm pretty sure he has given it up. And usually what happens, I think there's just this split. I wouldn't call it a split personality. I would just say that there's another person that comes out once you're intoxicated, and that's seen over and over again with Jon Jones, where he's been in trouble for so long outside the octagon. And sometimes it makes me wonder the greatness inside the octagon and the kind of person you are outside the octagon actually shocks me. I'm like, who is this man? In reality, when he's sitting on the couch and watching TV, who is this man? Is he somebody who's that great genius inside the octagon, or is he that guy who runs over people and runs into the law and stuff like that outside the octagon?
Somesh, but see, at this point, I don't know now. I'm one of the biggest fans of Jon Jones. That man is the greatest fighter of all time in my mind.
Absolutely, yes. Me too.
But I don't know how much you can defend him anymore. I can't defend. You know what? I'm the first person who says like, oh, what you do in your personal time is your personal time. I don't care what happens in your life. I only care about what happens inside the cage. Because
having said that, the era that you and me come from is the fact that, maybe the people drink and they pass out, maybe they party too much. The run-in with the law is what is going to bother any organization. If you remember, Quinton Rampage Jackson was like this. Quinton Rampage Jackson used to go out, party, get hit,
in the
hit
Pride
people.
days, in the Pride days.
And there are moments where, even when he was in the UFC, Dana White had to fly down to Washington, to Chicago to actually bail him out. And he's done it.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
But at the same time, Quinton Rampage Jackson is not as great as Jon Jones. He's a very, very good fighter. He's an excellent fighter, but
he's a former champ.
If you see Jon Jones, I would say he's 10 on 10 inside the octagon, and suddenly he's like a 1 on 10 outside the octagon. So I really don't know, the mind space of this gentleman.
It's not just his mindset. You have to watch that video because it's so,
Let's play the video here.
So. I wish, no, you can't play the video here, man. You can't play that video on any platform. You got to watch it. I mean, it's up on all the bigger websites, MMA Fighting, Junkie, etc. But it's scary to see the mindset. It's scary to see that mindset. And considering the fact that Jon Jones is a walking weapon, like anywhere, like, you look at Jones, he's imposing, man. You see the video. And this is where, Somesh, this is where he's bulking for heavyweight. He's huge. And he's surrounded by these massive Vegas cops. He's surrounded by these massive Vegas cops who are not small guys by any means. They're all easily 240, 250 pound guys.
Yeah.
And they look like freaking flyweights around him. Jones is imposingly big.
Oh my God. I saw one photo of Jon Jones's family, where there's his father, his mother, himself, and his 2 brothers.
Arthur.
And they're all, so one plays for NFL, one I think is a basketball player. And I think the average height between them is like 6'5".
Yeah.
And the average weight is like some 230 pounds. And I'm pretty sure they are possibly, 88 or 90% of muscle and, with just 10% body fat. I'm like, dude, these guys are genetic geniuses.
They are. They're just
they are
gifted.
Huge. And they are performing well in all their respective sports, in, the NFL, in NBA, in the UFC. But man, this guy is...
if you look at the rest of his family, his brothers who are in the NFL and other sports, they're fine personal life-wise. They're fine.
See, because what happens in the NFL, everybody is so good that your very good is just one of the other very goods.
No, come on. No.
Now, this guy became a champ at 21. He was holding that belt.
Correct. Okay, TK. I understand if he did it. I understand what he did earlier in his life. That's fine. But to do it, this is last September, man. This is just now. Like last September is 5 months ago.
Yeah, but as I said, you have 10 years of greatness behind you. You have the money. You have...
Yeah, but that's the thing. But it's just stupid at this point. Like you have
It is stupid. It is stupid.
That's what infuriates most fans is like, Jones, come on. You have everything. You were the longest reigning light heavyweight champion. You were the youngest champion. You're one of the richest champions. You're one of the most talented champions. Nobody can still beat you. You've still got so much of leeway. You've had such great luck in terms of...
when you have everything, you possibly have nothing.
Correct.
And, let me tell, the reason why people complain about Dana White not paying the fighters really don't know what happens in the back scene. I do know because, when I had spoken to Miesha Tate and she had become the champion, she was gifted a Range Rover and a Rolex watch for being the champion.
Nice.
And
Miesha's awesome. I love it.
See, these things don't come out in the media because, people just see fight purse, but there is so much that the UFC does. And that's exactly why Dana White doesn't talk back, because he knows his fighters are happy. Yes, you need to be a champion. You need to be the best amongst the best, but the rewards are massive.
I'm sure. But then on the same hand, you've got Jon Jones complaining about his fight purse for his super fight in the heavyweight division. And then you've got guys like Francis Ngannou back in the news, who is looking to take up on Jake Paul's offer and to join Triller and to join his promotions as a boxer. And and he's also a champ, he's a heavyweight champion of the world. and defended his belt successfully against one of the toughest contenders. So it's that's a very big point of contention. It's a gray area where you can have a lot to talk about. We should have an episode segregated, especially made for fighter pay. But there's one fight that of course, boxing, we know it pays. But there was one fight that just took place with the 35-year-old Amir the King Khan versus Kell Brook. This fight was 15 plus years in the making. And it has been going on forever. There's been a lot of trash talk between both the fighters. There was a lot of trash talk between Kell Brook and Amir Khan, whose careers started at roughly, were adjacent to one another, but they didn't meet. They were supposed to meet many times in the past, but that fight didn't happen because Amir was at a different level of his life and he was fighting bigger ranked opponents. So
Canelo and stuff. So
correct. He fought so many great contenders. He fought Canelo Alvarez. I'll come to that point later. But if you saw the fight, from the get-go, it was Kell Brook. It was right. If you see the fight, if you see the way Amir moved, the way Amir was moving, he's not lost his speed. He's not lost his speed at all. But I think the biggest mistake he makes is Amir is a natural 135 pounder. Now, 135 pounds in boxing is lightweight. He's fighting at welterweight and above. So all his career, he went up to super middleweight to fight Canelo. And hung with Canelo for 6 rounds, 7 rounds. 8 rounds,
I had read that interview where Amir said, during the weigh-ins, it was all fine. The moment Canelo turned up for the fight, he said he looked huge. And Amir said, I was already demotivated and I already asked myself, what the hell am I doing here with this man?
And he still managed to hang and give Canelo a good run. Right. He gave Canelo a damn good fight. He tagged Canelo a bunch of times. But that's the thing. That is the power disparity. And that's the first thing that I noticed in the fight. When Amir hit Brooks didn't, he winced, but he didn't get hurt. But when Brooks hit Amir with a jab, you could see Amir was visibly hurt. You could see him showing the damage immediately. And it's the continuation across the rounds. By the 6th round, the referee mercifully had to stop the fight. He was doing well. It's not like he's not doing well. It's the power disparity, man. It's like if somebody, it's a simple thing, man. If I get hit by a 135 pounder, I'm not going to feel it as much as he will feel it if I hit him.
Right.
If I hit somebody who's lighter weight, they're going to feel it.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happened. He was eating those jabs. He ate those
like how you hit me the other day.
Yeah. Are you still feeling it? No, but the one thing that I was even watching the fight and I was analyzing the entire thing, and you could see Kell Brook, when a fighter does not respect your power is when they start walking you down.
Right. In spite of eating some shots, and we've seen that.
He's eating everything Amir threw at him. He's walking him down.
That's disrespectful also in some way.
And that's demotivating, man.
It's demotivating.
Dude, somebody's coming at you after you give him your best shot and he's still coming at you is scary. It's like, damn. Clearly, that's where the power difference is.
Absolutely.
And every time he touched him, he got hurt. So when he started, and that started opening up the right hand. That right hand started finding a home over and over and over again.
Right.
And man, got to give it to Amir's toughness, dude. That guy has zero quit in him, dude.
But 35, you think this is the end of the road for Amir?
He is already kind of hinting retirement because after the fight, he said, you have to realize something. Amir Khan has been fighting since he's 16 years old. Before he was 20, he won the silver in the Olympics. And after which he went pro and he had such a historic career. He's been fighting for 18 plus years, man.
Yeah, 15 professional years. Wow.
15 professional. He's 35 years old. He said himself, he's like, dude, in 5 years, I'm an old man. Like I'm done. Like I'm done. And sometimes it's good, it's good. It's always good when a fighter says no to the sport, then the sport saying no to the fight.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's a sad day when the sport says no to the fighter. Then, it's happened with the greatest of all time, Anderson Silva. Yes. I was just coming to that. Dana White said, please stop.
Don't do this to yourself.
Exactly. I mean, your legacy is intact. Nobody's going to touch your legacy.
In fact, nobody talks about that. When you made that point, it is so correct because till date, I am 100% sure that Anderson Silva is one of the biggest sellouts in the UFC. If he walks into the octagon today, I think, let's call it McGregor, Brock Lesnar, Anderson Silva. I think he can still sell tickets. But the fact that Dana White says no means he's not hungry for money.
He's not. He's not.
If
Dana wanted that, he would have pushed him on the Brazil card, saying Anderson, chal jagda kar.
Absolutely. In fact, he had 2 or 3 fights left on his contract. And Dana White said, listen, please just stop, because this is the end of the road, at least in the UFC for you.
And he actually said, like, I'm letting you off. Like, normally Dana, if you've not finished your fights in the contract. And it's like how Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's not fought now for 2 years.
She's just hanging there,
She's just hanging around. She's just not doing anything. So if you want to do that, that's cool. But you can't go fight for someone else. But Dana was like, dude, do what you want. Just don't fight in MMA anymore. You're not fighting.
Just don't fight in UFC.
Don't fight with UFC. Don't fight. Dana and Anderson are probably on good terms and stuff, because he's
absolutely.
Like, you got to go.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. Now with Amir, he was hinting. He's hinting, saying, I'm feeling old. I want to hang with my family, my kids. And, of course, he's got such an important part with Middle East boxing. He's got such an important role he's playing for grooming the younger generation. He's playing a very big part with Super Boxing League and stuff in the Middle East. So who knows what his plans are, man? And
absolutely.
And with a loss like this, it's a little difficult to see, because I love him. He's such a great guy. He's had some real wars in the past.
Absolutely, yes. But speaking of wars and someone who had a great time, is the main event of Jamaya Hill versus Johnny Walker.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that one. That fight was a great fight, dude.
UFC Fight Night, which was at the Apex, was an absolute disaster for Johnny Walker.
I was saying absolute disaster, and he paused. UFC at the Apex was an absolute disaster for Johnny Walker.
Did you like the pause?
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what will happen now? Somebody will cut it and keep it there and use it now.
Oh shit! I'm gonna lose my job.
Gaya. We fight. Lagi guard. No, but that fight was a great fight. You know what? Jamal Hill in his last outing was against Paul Craig, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
he was against Paul Craig, where he got his arm badly tweaked. He got submitted.
God, yes.
And his arm was he was in a triangle, but his arm was gone. It was mangled. And after that, we see Jamahal Hill come. And in that division, he's got such good hands, dude.
Yes.
He showed such good hands. But at the same time, I'm not seeing the Johnny Walker that burst out on the scene long ago. I think it's after his loss to Corey Anderson, he's just kind of gone, downhill completely.
Right.
He's lost that.
I feel the same.
He's lost that fire. He should come in with these spinning attacks and crazy jumping kicks. And it's like how Vicente fights.
Yeah.
Vicente Luque is a lot more technical in that sense. And he's got a chin on him. And dude. But it's perfect. It's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about in our next segment.
Absolutely, yes. But I also want to mention one other fighter on this card that has got great hands, who's been with us for like 36 or 37 odd fights in the UFC. That is Jim Miller.
Dude, old man Miller. I love him.
Old man Miller knocked out Nicholas Mota in the second round. And in his post-fight interview, he said, I'm not done. I'm waiting for UFC 300.
Damn. I mean, he's one of those guys who'll never quit. And never be cut also. It doesn't matter.
In fact, Nick Diaz and Nate Diaz is saying, let me just fight once with Dustin Poirier and I will ride into the sunset. Jim Miller is saying, UFC 300. I'm like, dude, this guy's a rock star.
He is, man. He totally is. Like Jim Miller is if you look back to when they do the montage of like 20 years of UFC, you'll see Jim Miller then also.
Absolutely.
From the beginning.
In fact, Jim Miller is possibly one of those fighters who has more fights than his age also.
He probably is. Yeah, correct. Jim Miller is what? Maybe 35, 40 now? Must be, no?
Yeah. I think he would be
definitely over 35. Definitely.
100%.
And in fight years to at least 50. But no, nobody competes with in fight years. In fight years and in real years, Alexei Oleinik is the same.
Oh, he's 38. Jim Miller's 38.
There you go. Jim Miller's 38. So you know what? He's okay. Sometimes fighters get a resurgence later. Sometimes they have a couple of bad years and then bang, they come back. They just come back out of the blue. 3 or 4 good years and maybe he can ride into the sunset at say 42, 43. Exactly. But, maybe earlier even, 40, 41, he can just try and
absolutely.
get there.
But Jim Miller knocking out Nicholas Mota was a highlight of that event, which I truly enjoyed. I said, listen, waking up at 5:30 was absolutely worth it for this. And Jamaya Hill versus Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker came into the UFC with these spinning back fist kind of knockouts and stuff. And he even displayed that art in the octagon.
Dude, he did. He's such an awesome fighter.
But something went down, which is what we are going to be covering in our next segment, which is changing camps. Is it good for you? Is it bad for you? Which coaches have worked for certain fighters? Which coaches have not worked for certain fighters? More of that after the short commercial break with your host and host, Somesh the Superhuman Kamra and Arjun aka Mystic Chips. See you on the other side.
If you're a cricket fan, check out Edges and Sledges, India's favorite cricket podcast.
The podcast focuses on Indian cricket, the IPL, and has a ton of banter both on and off the field.
We talk about the week's biggest cricket stories with current and ex-international cricketers, coaches, or sometimes just between us.
And it's hosted by me, DJ.
Me, Varun.
And me, Ashwin.
New episodes release every week.
You can catch us on the IVM Podcast's website, app,
or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back to episode 52 of The Fighting G.O.A.T. You've been listening to Arjun Chipalkatti, aka Mystic Chips, and my boy Somesh Kamra. And we've had our first segment was quite a long one actually, because we've had a lot. There was so much of news to discuss. It was pretty. Believe me, it is. It was a lot to talk about in terms of the news of the week. News of the last 10 days, there was a lot of things that were happening. And that just shows, that's a sign of good things. Things are coming back up. More and more organizations are doing more things. Bellator, PKFC, Pillow Fighting. I'm honestly, sometimes I get so sick of all the serious MMA and the serious fighting, which breaks my heart or makes me happy or whatever. I think I'm just going to resign to just watching Pillow Fighting Championships, because clearly...
So ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be watching the commentary of Pillow Fighting Championship Indian version by none other than Arjun aka Mystic Chips.
I want to know how many pillow brands have got into this. Sleep well, love well.
Yeah, it can be, such a good idea actually. Imagine if this pillow is sponsored by Sleep Well and the opponent can have a different pillow.
Correct. Other companies, Kambals are us or something. It's
Curl On
versus Sleep Well, Honeywell, whatever. Honeywell to bathroom banata. Sorry, not.
No, Honeywell to make switches.
Switches ki bathroom. These big conglomerates, they do everything.
Absolutely. Not like us.
We don't do anything. Only one specific. Those sport aata hai, bas wahi baat hota hai. Nothing else in life. Nothing.
What have you achieved?
Nothing. The other day, this friend of mine sent me a picture of what we thought 25 years ago of WWE looks like versus what it really looks like. And Somesh Kamra, it is depressing to see that photo.
Oh, really?
It is so depressing. I have to show it to you. It is damn depressing, okay? Tell me something. 25 years ago, I used to think that it was, a Bam Bam Bigelow versus Macho Man Randy Savage. And, so this is, wrestling 25 years ago in my head. Okay, this is what we think it is.
Wow, so we have Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage right there.
Correct. But the reality is it's Stone Cold Steve Austin at this era. And this is actually what was 25 years ago. We are getting so old.
We as in like you or like we both?
We both, bro.
No. 25 years ago, I was 12.
How can you be a ganta?
I was 12, no? Yeah.
Right. 25 years ago. You're in your 20s.
25 years ago, I was 12, which means I'm 37 now.
See, math is never my strong suit. So, it's age.
So that's why you live in whatever swanky 3-bedroom house in Vadala.
गिनने को हुआ नहीं, मेरे को एक bedroom खरीदने का था. No, but the thing is that I was 13, you were 12. But it was that era of WWE that time. And suddenly, bang, it's just gone, It's suddenly people are like, 25 years ago, it was this.
Absolutely.
Dude, in another 5 years, somebody will make another meme of saying 20 years ago we'll be like, Arey, Nate Diaz to just fought. He just made his debut. It's been 25 years. How is it? If you come to think of it, bro, 2006 is when Anderson Silva fought Chris Lieben. And
holy shit.
He made his 4 years in the UFC.
In 4 years, it'll be 20 years.
It'll be 20 years since. Dude, it's 16 years. It's since that fight. It's 60. God. I feel old now because we've been watching for 16 plus years.
But speaking of old, there are these fighters who shift camps when they start getting
what we're
fame.
Talk about. Correct.
And eventually they feel that, yes, a camp will do good for me. A coach will do good for me. And sometimes that plan just flops. And we saw it last week where Johnny Walker moved to SPG Ireland under John Kavanagh and his entire crew. And it's just been downhill from there. I'm not saying the coach is bad. I'm not saying the coach is bad.
We are in no position to comment on how,
honestly, it's the same camp that has made Conor McGregor. It has, given Artem Lobov a lease of life and all the other fighters. Gunnar Nelson comes out of that camp.
Yeah.
But, sometimes formulas don't work.
I think it's, we see it happen even Travis Brown went to Ronda Rousey's camp with Edmund Tarverdyan and
Glendale Fighting Championship.
Correct.
Oh, Glendale Fighting Club. Sorry. Glendale Fighting Club.
Championship. Kab se chalu hua? They started their own company.
Yeah, I think like Ronda versus Travis Brown.
No, the only way to. Yeah, I love Ronda Rousey, man. She was a phenom. She's
a spectacle.
She was something that every female fighter wanted to become, and she lived it. She was
the reason why women came into MMA.
Exactly. And she's the reason why a lot of casual fans started watching.
Absolutely.
I mean, she was somebody who was an Olympian, then was a bartender for a while, and she worked in a bar and stuff, and then suddenly she gets her break in fighting, and her transition to jiu-jitsu was so smooth, was unreal.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, a lot of people have come with this thought, where sometimes when camps have this once-in-a-generation fighter, like Conor's a once-in-a-generation fighter, Ronda is a once-in-a-generation fighter.
Yes.
It's the camp starts revolving around those guys only. And they perhaps don't have the bandwidth to give somebody else time. Do you think that's a possibility?
So, I personally am slightly critical about that aspect because Ronda already came in with the judo background. She was an accomplished judoka. She had all of that going for her. The only aspect that needed to be solved was the striking. And honestly, Ronda didn't even throw kicks. It was just primarily hands.
Yeah.
She just needed to
close the distance, actually. It was
dodge the punches, close the distance, and eventually close the show. And we have seen her doing it. But I don't know, even, to be honest, even Travis Brown moved from Jackson Wink to Edmund's camp. And suddenly there was a downfall. So I don't know how these two fighters that were excellent suddenly had downfall in that one camp. I mean, is it because they got involved in each other and they kind of
I don't
their
think
career
I don't
the back, or is it just something about that? Because honestly, see, nobody has come out of that camp that has been Ronda Rousey level, or I would say even Travis Brown level.
That's the thing. So that makes me believe, saying, are these camps maybe perhaps only designed to cater to these super athletes? Like it's Ronda's, it's literally Ronda's personal camp. It was literally Conor's personal camp. Nobody knew about the camp till it was Conor,
Absolutely.
So maybe these camps are just catered to just that one person and maybe not other people. Like, look, if you look at a Jackson Wink, or if you look at a AKA ATT, it's, they've had champions. But if we go back in time also, like we talk about some of the, like, remember this camp called the Black Zillions, which disbanded because nobody was doing well. Whoever joined that camp started losing, from Anthony Rumble Johnson to Rashad Evans to Phil Davis to everybody who was in that camp.
Right.
They just started, nobody really did well. And then eventually the camp only split apart.
Correct.
And we saw that happen even with Team Alpha Male, where some fighters who went into Team Alpha Male started doing badly.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Maybe it's the morale of the camp? Is it the kind of coaching? Is it the style of coaching? Obviously, you got one pant doesn't fit everybody. Just because you're waist 34, I'm waist 30. Okay, I'm not waist 34, but I'm just telling you an example. If somebody is waist 34 and somebody else is waist 34, there's no guarantee that pant will fit them.
Absolutely. Perfectly. Yes, absolutely. In fact, the two biggest draws in the UFC, I feel, which were three. Brock Lesnar, Conor, and Ronda. I felt the camps were more designed around them rather than being a coaching camp. Like, I was.
Who did Brock train with?
So, in fact, Brock was training with. I can't remember the name.
Marty Morgan, if I remember. Marty Morgan.
I don't remember the name, but I do know that camp was more about keeping Brock happy and not really about improving his skills. And do you know that in that camp, when they used to spar, there's to be no headshots allowed to Brock because Brock technically was an asset to them.
Correct.
They were not treating him like a fighter. They were treating him like an asset. But when he finally went against someone like an Overeem, oh my God, it changes the ball game.
Overeem hit you more and more.
No,
but not just Overeem, dude. He got hit even by Shane Carvin.
Absolutely. Frank Mir.
Cain Velasquez hit him properly.
So I mean, it just comes to a point where sometimes does a camp become too big, or do they take on too much of load that leads to the downfall? We are seeing the recent trend amongst all the top fighters that are leaving their like kind of star camps and going into smaller individual camps. So we've seen Jon Jones move with Henry Cejudo. We've seen Amanda Nunes leave the American top team and move to her own camp. Usman, Gaethje, they all train in a very small private gym. So I mean,
no, but on the same hand, look at the yesteryear camps, okay, and by means right 15 years ago. You look at camps like Black House, which had Anderson Silva, Wanderlei Silva, Shogun Hua, Lyoto Machida, Jose Aldo. Everybody was in that camp. Junior Dos Santos. Now, there are 6 stars in that camp, and everybody's careers were flourishing at the same time. So maybe it's the morale of the camp more than anything. Maybe it's now fighters. I think it's, I'm saying this of late. I'm just realizing more and more that generationally, people are not getting along with people anymore. And
that is so nicely said because see, Junior Dos Santos moved from Black House to American top team.
Correct.
And it was game over.
Boom. His career just went south.
From them, it was game over. In fact, when you told me about this topic, I really started thinking that yes, there are so many. And
so many fighters.
It dates back to someone like Josh Thompson that moved camps to, with Javier Mendes. He was at AKA and boom, his career just went tanking down.
Then he left, right?
Yeah, then he left. He left the sport.
Exactly. There's so many fighters that if you see that, who had camp switches. And, it's like back in the day, even Robbie Lawler, when he fought, he switched camps. He tanked so badly that he was let go of the UFC.
Correct.
Went into other organizations, got his life back, came back and became obviously a badass champion and stuff. But my point is that break, sometimes choosing the wrong camp makes such a big difference. And why we thought about it was because of the recent loss of Johnny Walker. Now, under the camp, he's been knocked out, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
Similar way, he's been knocked out 2 or 3 times. And okay, okay, fine. People can call Johnny Walker chinny and stuff. But no, these shots are monster shots that he's gotten hit with.
Correct.
That'll knock anybody out, boss. It'll knock anybody out. Not just him.
It happened with Ronda Rousey. Once her game plan was not activated, honestly, it's the coach's job to give you a plan B. If this doesn't work, then this. If this doesn't work, then this.
Correct. Exactly.
But she just didn't have a plan B. It was just, yes, your hands are good. If somebody comes in, you take them down and you have your judo expertise out there.
But what if sometimes
Amanda Nunes comes? What Amanda Nunes did to her, what Holly Holm did to her in Australia. Oh my God, she had no answer to that. She had no answer.
But that's the thing, there's a saying sometimes, regardless of how great a fighter is, they just can't seem to get, if their plan A doesn't work, they can't switch to a plan B and C. We saw it with Amir versus Kell. Amir was not getting success with his strategy. He found small success, but then the minute he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to adjust to it on the fly. And that's no knock on Amir Khan. Sometimes when you're so great, you've been using a strategy for so long, you tend to go to that strategy only.
Absolutely. In fact, this happened with the former light heavyweight champion Rashad Evans when he left Jackson Wink and he went to Black Zillions.
Yeah, exactly, man. Everybody who went to Black Zillions had a problem. Everybody.
And it was such a good camp on paper.
Yes, on paper.
It's like rest of the world versus Australia, and always Australia wins in cricket.
Exactly. Actually, that was Black House. Black House was one of those camps.
So I just fail to understand that sometimes you don't need to go behind the name of a big camp. You need to kind of find your own success.
Another great example was Donald Cerrone leaving Jackson Wink. Remember, there was a period when Donald Cerrone was in Jackson Wink where he was just this badass, untouchable, man who just stepped in on 1 day notice to fight and walked away with fight of the night bonuses, knockout of the night bonuses, performance of the night bonuses. There was a time when nobody touched Cerrone for bonuses because that's all he was getting.
Yes.
He used to win and he got bonuses. Win and he got bonuses. And then he switches camps. He had some issues with Jackson Wink, switches camps, and then you just see it.
In fact, let me tell you what really happened back scene was the fact that when Mike Perry came into Jackson Wink, there was a time where Mike Perry was going to face off Donald Cerrone. And Cerrone went to the coaches and said, listen, we can definitely fight from the same gym, but let us have different timings. Let us have different corners. Let us have different coaches. And I think Greg Jackson was okay with that. But Mike Wickelgeorge said, no, we need to follow our rules and all. And Donald Cerrone said, listen, this is not going to work. And instead of releasing Mike Perry, they asked Donald Cerrone to leave. So Donald Cerrone did not leave Jackson Wink. He was booted out.
There's the same thing that happened to Rashad and Jones. When Rashad and Jones were to fight each other, the same thing was saying that, Michael Wickeljohn will be in Rashad's corner and Greg Jackson will be in Jones' corner. And we saw what happened after the fight, man. Rashad just walked out.
Yeah, it's crazy. In fact, some fighters that move to bigger camps and think that their plan will work, the first name, in fact, that comes to my mind is Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald moved into TriStar with Firas Zahabi. And I was so baffled because Rory McDonald is this aggressive, fast-moving guy. Firas Zahabi changed his game plan and asked him to wait, take it easy, calm down, see the situation. And Rory's career, boom, straight down.
Do you remember before Rory joined TriStar? I remember that fight with Nate Diaz. He German suplexed him 3 times in a fight. I'm not even joking, guys. You know what? Everybody who's seen any sort of fighting and grown up with WWE knows what a German suplex is. Basically, when there's a gable grip from the back, he's taking the back and he literally picks you up and slams you on the back of your head.
Right.
And he did that to Nate Diaz. Google it, guys. Just Google it. It's on YouTube. Rory McDonald, Nate Diaz, German suplex. He suplexed him 3 times.
Rory McDonald was with Alliance MMA earlier with Eric Del Ferro.
Was he still with Alliance when he fought Robbie Lawler?
No, he was with Firas Zahabi then.
Oh.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was with Firas Zahabi. And I don't know, when you try and change the DNA of the fighter, I think it doesn't work. I think at that level, you just need to sharpen skills and fine tune because the fighter is ready. He's there. Yeah. There's not much to be done. You don't need to kind of tell him as to how to keep your hands and tuck the elbows in and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just about game planning. But
you saw some fighters, of course, some fighters had some great results from changing camps. Like Robbie, when he made his resurgence, he looked incredible. Like, absolutely. Oh my God. He looked like a phenom. He was no longer this, this open hose pipe where the water is just flying everywhere. He was a controlled killer now.
Right.
He knew the right bursts. And you saw his recent fight against Nick Diaz also. A lot of people were like, oh, it's, he fought Nick Diaz, so what? I'm like, he's still fighting Nick Diaz, boss. Nick Diaz can still put away a lot of people.
Absolutely. I mean, Nick Diaz is no, slug in the park out there, I mean, a couple of shots and you would feel it. It's what Nate did, in like, I think 4 minutes and 50 seconds to, like Leon Edwards, where he really stunned him in the last few seconds, So
the last 30 seconds, Leon Edwards was backpedaling and was on his bicycle getting away from Nate. He wanted no part of Nate Diaz.
But like here we're talking about coaches or camps that have not really worked for fighters, and honestly, number 1 on my list is poor old Diego Sanchez, who left Jackson Wink and went with Joshua Fabia.
Oh my God. I remember he used to make him do some ulta hanging upside down punching drills, and
which is, nobody
knows what that training was.
I don't know. It looked more like a black magic center to me than anything else, where you're upside down and, like there are some goat photos.
Goat photos.
like some fake blood.
Like you mean
from
Guy
here and
Bakri
there
or
and-
like Anderson Silva photos?
No, Guy Bakri. So I mean, it was crazy,
No,
he's
man,
too
Diego
possibly
Sanchez.
yes.
Diego Sanchez
it's-
was such a brilliant fighter. Such
Right.
a brilliant fighter. And thank God he's left that camp, by the way. Huh? Thank God.
It was because of the coach and his rundown with the UFC. Diego Sanchez was released from the UFC. I mean, how sad is that? When you are calling yourself a guru or a mentor or a coach or a guide, you need to think from your student's perspective. And this guy barges into the commentary meeting. He gets into a spat with DC, with John Anik, with Laura Sanko, with Megan Olive, and he starts shouting at them. And they're like, dude, it's the commentary meeting happening here. And he goes berserk.
Man,
and
crazy.
I'm like, what's going on? And Diego Sanchez, poor guy, defended his coach and said, no, what he's doing is right and it's for my benefit and this and that and blah, blah, blah. He was let go. He was no longer part of UFC.
That's
Luckily,
really sad,
luckily he's with Eagle FC now. So that's the good part. And he's fighting Kevin Lee, which is a good,
Should
fight.
be a good matchup.
And it's in a new division of 165 pounds. But having said that,
Wait. Eagle FC has different divisions?
Yes, Eagle FC has a 165 pound division.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think it's specially designed for Khabib's comeback. We never know where this goes. But
Khabib is not making 155 ever again.
Never again. I mean, he's easily looking 220 at the moment.
He seriously is. Honestly, I think, they should bring the weight divisions back to what Pride were, where lightweight and where welterweight was a combination of lightweight and welterweight together.
Yes.
And middleweight was a combination of middleweight and light heavyweight.
Yeah. Well,
then everybody after that was allowed. After that, everybody was allowed, and also at the same time, nobody cared about weight divisions. Anybody could fight anybody.
Well, those were good old Pride days where it was not really as organized and the spotlight was not on the sport. But what we can speak about in the coming segment is the event where Bobby Green steps up for an injured Beneil Dariush, taking on the raging phenom IslamMakhachev. All of that happening in the coming segment after the short commercial break. We'll see you on the other side.
Namaste, this is Cyrus Brocha. I am part of the government cancel culture program to remove rubbish off all the different streams available. So what we have is all the collected rubbish we put together on our show. It's called Cyrus Says. It's on IVM Podcast. You have to watch it and listen to it. It's on our app. It's on our website. It's on the YouTube channel. It's on Facebook. There are many different ways. Don't bother me and ask me how. You have to find out. We talk to different personalities. Many of them are known. Some are just people we meet downstairs and invite them up for chai. But the point is, it's fun and it's very therapeutic. So please join in and listen to Cyrus Says.
Welcome back. You've been listening to episode 52 of The Fighting G.O.A.T with the voice of Arjun Chipalkatti, aka Mystic Chips, and Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra. We've had a great conversation today. Lots of news, lots of talking about camps, shams, coaches, the best fit, right fit, fit. No, I'm not talking about fitness, please. By the way, which I have started. By the way, hello, I'm already feeling better. I've gotten back into swimming. I've got my reports from the doctor. My MRIs are, I can't do any weights. Only thing I can do is run and swim. So please expect.
But that's amazing. The fact that you are determined to do something in spite of an injury, you can work around that schedule, shows sheer motivation. There are so many 27, 28-year-olds that say, oh no, I've got college, I can't do this. I've got studies, I can't do that. I'm like, dude, professional fighters do a full-time job. They take care of their kids and they train and they win. So it's just a matter of dedication.
Exactly.
I don't think you need anything more than that. Just dedication, perseverance, like our very own Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, who has a little bit of a tennis elbow. However, he's making most of his time. He's swimming, he's running, he's looking great. But the man who is now on his the man who's on his way to greatness, according to the former undefeated champion Khabib, is IslamMakhachev, who was supposed to take on Beneil Dariush, which we thought was an absolute fantastic matchup. But Beneil unfortunately has a foot injury. He has pulled out on 10 days' notice. We have Bobby Green, who just fought 10 days back.
But do you know something? Just fought 10 days back. I love it when you do that. No, but the thing is, firstly, you know how we both feel about when somebody is a highly touted prospect. You keep promoting him.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, Khabib, he's been talking about Islam, saying he's going to be the next champ and blah, blah.
Right.
And honestly, that Dariush mashup was so carefully designed. It was so carefully made. Because if you look at them matching up with each other, stand-up wise, Dariush is a little better. On the ground would have been a very interesting chess game.
I even feel Dariush is the stronger fighter.
You know, somewhere I feel he's got that he's got that Armenian strength and that Musasi style calmness, you know, like,
yes.
Okay, he took me down, so what? Like,
correct.
We'll see from this point. Now the abhi to shurwaat hui hai, like that.
Correct.
And very calm, very calm. Just slowly transitioning, slowly moving around, slowly handling his opponents. And, you know, the ease with which he dismantled Tony Ferguson on the ground.
Yeah.
And the way he caught that armbar, man, anybody in the world would have tapped except for Tony.
But Tony was pretty much on his way out. I mean, he's not that killer who is there. It's like beating Nate Diaz.
Has Tony changed camps by any chance in the last 3 fights? We should check, because that's something to actually see. Because if he has, that explains a lot. Because before that, till he fought Anthony Pettis, he was one madman.
Yeah, but it's also to do with age, it's to do with motivation and all those other things, and he had a lot of issues in his personal life as well. So,
that he did. But anyway, back to Dariush and IslamMakhachev. IslamMakhachev, of course, made very, very quick work of Dan Hooker. He submitted him so easily, and he made it look easy. And then he's, the whole team is screaming title shot. But at the same time, Bobby Green, man, this guy, there's something called, this word in Spanish called cojones.
Okay.
Basically means you got balls. This man has got balls, man. Cojones means ball. And this guy has just fought 10 days ago. Put out a clinic, had a great fight, Great fight, was landing good shots. He needed the 3 rounds to get back in, in there.
Right.
But this is going to be a very interesting fight, because win, lose or draw, like Somesh said earlier, rightfully, win, lose or draw, he's proven to be a company man. He stepped up to save a card.
Yeah.
And is putting himself potentially in a lot of damage. Because IslamMakhachev is dangerous. These guys are dangerous fighters.
Well, but what happens, see, Bobby Green defeated Nasrat last, which was on Feb 12th. It was exactly 10 days back.
Man, that's crazy.
Before that, he had a beautiful win versus Ali Quinta, where he TKO'd him.
Yeah, but the same Ali Quinta that took Khabib for 5 rounds.
5 rounds. So what, at some level, when the fighter is in this momentum, it just may help Bobby Green. We don't know. And this fight is not at 155 pounds, which is lightweight. It's at catch weight, 160 pounds.
Oh, it's at 160 pounds. Oh, yes, it's a catchweight fight.
Yeah,
yes, that's true.
It's catchweight fight. So maybe Bobby Green kind of just, like let loose for like 4 or 5 days, ate some pizza, drank some beer. And then he must have got the call that, dude, this guy's pulled out. Do you want to step in? And I'm pretty sure Bobby Green mustn't have been option number 1. There must have been 2 or 3 options.
Absolutely.
After Beniel, and they all must have refused. And Bobby Green said, listen, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bobby Green's boxing versus Nasrat was something else, where he was popping those 4 jab combinations, and it was an absolute clinic. It was just beautiful to see that happening. It was wow. Wow.
Somewhere, after watching that fight, I was like, if you're so good to land so often on somebody, then why not step in and get him with a harder shot? Why not step in to try and finish it?
True.
That's a different conversation, different argument that can be made on another day. But look, you and I both know what the outcome of this fight is going to be.
Well, but what you said in segment 1 is very important. What if?
Welcome to What If.
That 1% chance is there. What if Bobby Green cracks him with a clean 1-2?
Man, if he cracks him and hurts him, you know what Islam is going to do. He's going to shoot. He's going to do that low shot for his legs. He's going to take him down and probably hold him there till he gains his composure back. Every time he gets hurt, he's going to do that. Every
Absolutely,
time.
Yes. So, it's not rocket. It's not rocket science.
Either Bobby Green has learned how to defend a takedown. I mean, sure, he knows how to defend takedowns, but learning how to defend takedowns and then learning how to defend the Dagestani wrestling takedowns, very different
It's something
story.
else. Absolutely. Yes,
very different story. People have been calling Islam a mirror of Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think he's a better version.
That is very, very scary. But speaking of a better version, Mystic Chips, let's get down to the prediction.
Yes, sir. Prediction time. Well,
do you think the what if card is going to come into action this week?
As much as I play the what if game now, and I've been right 50% of the time with the what ifs.
Absolutely, yes.
But I don't see it happening. But somewhere I kind of get
the feeling.
Somewhere I just want to shake it up. I mean, he's such a great contender. But what's going to happen? If Islam wins, he's going to come out and say title shot.
Right.
And then the rest of the MMA world are going to be like, but you beat Bobby Green.
Yeah, you haven't beaten like a Justin Gaethje. You've
not beaten Gaethje. You've not beaten Poirier. You've not beaten Chandler. You've not beaten, in the top 5.
You've technically beaten Dan Hooker and a short notice Bobby Green.
Correct. But that's not his fault. No, Islam is there to fight. So he's going to take on anybody and everybody who comes at him.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get down to the prediction real quick.
Okay.
Look at that Kida.
Okay, fine. I'm playing the what if card.
Ooh.
Bobby Green via stoppage.
Oh my God. You know what? My heart is saying that round 3 or round 4, but I'm going to go with a traditional. See, I don't want to lose again. So I'm going to go with IslamMakhachev.
No, Isbar, we're not competing for this card. We're competing only for the next pay-per-view now. So we're not competing this time. No,
absolutely.
So you're choosing IslamMakhachev, huh?
So yes, I'm going to go with IslamMakhachev, who 99% I think is going to win. Even everybody around the world thinks he's going to win. But I want Bobby Green to win. But
everybody wants Bobby. You know what? So guys, if you think it's going to be IslamMakhachev or if you think it's going to be Bobby Green, don't forget to tag us, hashtag us on our Instagram profiles on ivmpodcast.com and at ivmpodcast on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, you can tag me, Arjun Chipalkatti, aka Mystic Chips. My handles are on Instagram at Arjun Chips and on Twitter at The Mystic Chips. Go Somesh.
Absolutely. If you want to make your predictions, please tag us, hashtag us as Mystic Chips said. You can tag me on Instagram, somesh.kamra, and on Twitter, it's somesh_kamra, and on IVM Podcast across all platforms.
Absolutely. Your chance to win some great merchandise coming your way. We've got t-shirts, we've got keychains. So guys, don't forget to be part of the conversation. Get in, tag us, and be part of the Fighting G.O.A.T.
Superb. Until then, stay tuned, watch some exciting shows, listen to the Fighting G.O.A.T and all the other shows on ivmpodcast.com. Take part in the contest, have fun, take care of yourself. If you haven't got the booster shot, please get it done. If you haven't got your second jab, please get it done. It's going to be required for the safety of the country and for all the people around you. For exciting content, check out ivmpodcast.com and obviously check out the Fighting G.O.A.T first. Until then, see you same time next week with Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, and Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra.
Do you like true crime stories?
Do you like to learn about the people behind some horrible, awful crimes?
More specifically, women that may have committed these crimes.
Actually, Indian criminals that are women?
Then we'd like to welcome you to our podcast, Misconduct. My name is Raghavi.
And I am Nisha.
We cover themes like murder, dacoity, drug trafficking, financial fraud, kidnapping, and many more.
You can catch us every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcast.
Do you wonder why China does the things that it does? Or want to know how we could improve online privacy? Or perhaps you're thinking about how we can kickstart India's economy. If you'd like to search for the answers to such questions, check out All Things Policy, a daily public policy podcast that covers everything from employment figures to aircraft carriers. Tune in from Monday to Friday for new episodes and fresh takes.